What's up guys, Tony Hannity's here from LazyTechGuys.com, and it's been a while since we've done a video, so thank you very much for sticking with us. But today we're going to finally take a look at something that I've been salivating over for quite some time. This is the Huawei Watch. Stay tuned. The Huawei Watch wasn't the first Android Wear device to adopt the circular design, but in my opinion, it's probably one of the highest ranking of the ones that are available. What's really nice about the Huawei Watch is that although it might be big to some people, it has a really nice resolution screen that can be seen from any angle. With the full circular AMOLED display of 1.4 inches, screen resolution of 400 by 400 and a density of 286 ppi, the contrast ratio is 10,000 to 1. The actual material on the Huawei Watch is cold forged stainless steel, and the screen itself is sapphire. Some of the other aspects of the watch: you've got a 300 milliamp battery that's going to last you about 1.5 days. You have an Android Wear watch running Android Wear 1.3 and Android 5.1.1. Also, it has Wi-Fi, so if you're in those situations where your phone might be a little bit farther beyond the Bluetooth connectivity range, the watch itself can connect to Wi-Fi, and thusly it can still be able to get your notifications from your email, text messages, Facebook, and the like. Right here is the black plated stainless steel case, but they also have a stainless steel case, which is just your standard silver, and then a rose gold plated stainless steel, and then a variety of different bands including mesh, link, and leather. The RAM capacity is 512 megabytes, and you have just about 4 gigabytes of ROM. So not a lot of space, but the thing about Android Wear versus Apple's Apple Watch, the apps themselves aren't running on the watch itself, they're running on the phone. And in my opinion, that's kind of a better way to do it. The watch having a full-on application environment in it, it's a little bit too small to really integrate and to take full advantage of the information that you might need. You just need at-a-glance information, and the way that Android Wear does it, if you haven't already seen, it does it pretty well. But that's not to say that Apple Watch is doing it wrong. It's just a different method of attacking the same kind of situation. Wearables. I'm not going to do an unboxing, but I do want to talk about the box. I'm not trying to brag, but I do have a number of high-end watches that came in a box similar to this. And Huawei, although their main focus isn't luxury wear of watches, they really mimic the same kind of experience when you open up the box. The watch is all strapped up in really hard to undo plastic. You've got extra links. You've got a tool to remove links, which I'm not very good at. Kind of took me a while, and I think I broke the tool. But nevertheless, I mean, I was very impressed just with the presentation of the Huawei Watch. Connecting it to my phone, again, was not an issue. You just follow the simple instructions once you download the Android Wear application. And then if you have Android Wear apps already pre-installed, like Facebook and all the Google apps and Pocket Cast, they will just automatically be able to integrate and communicate with the watch depending on what it is that you're doing. One facet of the watch that I thought was kind of a nerdy thing, or something that I really wouldn't be using so much, is that Dick Tracy method where you can speak to the watch and will actually allow you to do speech to text. And in text messaging forms, this was really beneficial. In California and many states as well too, and other countries, you're not supposed to hold your phone while driving. And I do have a dock. I have a mount for my phone. I can hold down the microphone button on the phone and speak to my phone that way, but sometimes because of all the car noise, it just doesn't pick me up. Even with Bluetooth, it doesn't pick me up sometimes too. But doing it through the watch, because it's right up against my face, I can say the words, "I'll be home at 7." And I can look at the watch before it sends it off just to make sure it understood what I was trying to say. And in my opinion, that just makes it a lot safer. One thing that should be known, if you're using the watch to speak to it, there's nothing speaking back to you. Like, it doesn't have a speaker. It has a microphone, so it can hear you, but you can't hear it. So if there's a query that you're asking it, like, "Hey Google, what time is it in Bangladesh?" you still have to look at your watch. Now, if you're used to doing that on the computer or your phone, you see it as well as hear it. And I was kind of half hoping that they would be able to have some sort of micro speaker in there, and I get it, there's not a lot of room for it, but for it to be able to speak back to you at certain times, that would make sense. Having it speak back to you for like GPS and things like that, maybe not so much. I mean, arguably you would have GPS on your phone, which is docked somewhere already. But I guess if you're walking down the street and you have your phone in your pocket, you don't want to take it out, you just want to hear the GPS coming from your watch, that might be useful. Also, another thing with GPS that Apple Watch does and this one doesn't, unless there's a setting that I'm not aware of. It doesn't warn me that a change is coming up. Like if I have to make a left in 300 feet on Apple Watch, your wrist will vibrate. On Android Wear, your wrist will do nothing unless you continuously look up. In any event, those are just some things that I had noticed. Now, I did have a chance to play around with the Moto 360, the latest version, so Moto 360 version 2. And one thing I will say about the Huawei Watch, and it might be because of the metal band, the Moto 360 version 2 that I tested out compared to the Huawei Watch, the Huawei Watch in my opinion feels a lot more premium. It has a much more pleasurable design, and because it has the very nice weight to it, although the black probably can scratch and then underneath you get the silver, so just be aware of that. It just, to me, looks more like your standard analog watch, and I have about 20 different analog watches ranging in sizes and thickness and other capabilities that some of these watches have. But what really attracted me to the Huawei Watch versus something like the Moto 360 or with the LG Urbane was, although there is a bezel, it's not too big. If you look at the Urbane, the bezel is huge. And then if you look at the Moto 360, there is no bezel, but then you get the flat tire. So I feel that in retrospect, finding a middle ground, this was one of the best ways to do it. The disadvantage of the technology of not having an ambient light source in the front though, makes it really difficult, wherein that if you need to change the brightness of the watch face, you can't do it automatically. You have to go into the settings and change it, and it's not necessarily difficult to do, it's just another task that you don't really want to spend time doing. Case in point, looking at the watch in the sun is near to impossible. So if you find yourself outside a lot and you'd like to see the time, which is kind of the main focus of what these watches are supposed to do, I mean, that's what watches are, it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to be able to do that. Now, they claim that you can get a 1.5-day battery out of the Huawei Watch, and I think that also depends on like what kind of notifications are coming through, if you're using the heart rate monitor, which is integrated, if you're using for GPS on a daily basis. Although this itself does not have GPS, it can get the GPS directions via your phone. I was getting between a day and maybe not a half, but a day and a third, or give or take. And for me, that's more than acceptable. I've definitely had smartwatches where they last just about a day, maybe 8 hours of standby and use, and right at the time that I would have to get home, I would have to charge it. This I didn't really have that issue with. And again, it might all depend on how many notifications come to the watch. I do get a lot, and I was still very impressed with the amount of battery life that I would have by the time that I got home. One main way the watch saves so much battery is that it has a black and white mode. When the watch is by your side or in your pocket, it goes black and white. When the watch faces you, the watch goes back into color mode, the brightness goes up, the functionality comes back, and you're back to normal. I too was a little skeptical about the whole smart wearables thing. I mean, I do use the Microsoft Band at the gym, and that's because it has a really good method of tracking certain things, and you can specify different workouts and stuff like that. But using this as my everyday watch for the past month or so has actually been very, very useful. Being able to get text messages, being able to reply to text messages. There are obviously some things like a Facebook post or a tweet. It's not going to show you everything. It's not going to show you the whole email. You could swipe up or swipe down by jiggling your wrist, which I thought was not really practical. But just getting the quick, hey, this is an email from Joe. Hey, this is a tweet from so-and-so. And at my own choosing, I could decide if I want to pull my phone out of my pocket without having to do that every single time I got a notification. So there alone is a benefit of having some sort of wearable. Whether it's Android Wear or Apple Watch or something like that, I would argue that getting notifications on your wrist are actually very practical. Now, the last thing I want to mention is with regards to the battery, the way that you charge this isn't Qi charging. Now, there are some watches out there that do support Qi charging, including Apple Watch and the Moto 360. But this uses a proprietary charger. And if you followed my videos, I'm not a big fan of proprietary chargers. Until you standardize something, proprietary charging mechanisms are very limiting. In my opinion, as easy as it is to just place this onto the little charging dock that it comes with, it becomes an issue in the future wherein that if I were to have forgotten the charging dock, I have to go somewhere to buy the charging dock. And truth be told, I'm not even aware if someone just sells the charging dock by itself very easily. I know you can buy the watch, but I don't know if they have the charging dock separately. That just raises a bunch of other questions. So hopefully in the next iteration, Huawei does decide to go Qi. I would think that although the charging mechanism might charge it a little bit quicker than Qi, I would be more than willing to sacrifice that, especially since I'm only charging this at night. So that's it. That's the Huawei Watch. I love it. I think it's a great watch. I think it's a solid buy. I think even if you have iOS, this works on iOS now. So although it has limited functionality on iOS, if you want a smartwatch that looks like a watch instead of this weird screen that's not a watch and you don't mind it to be Android, this is a very, very good solution for you. Also, it does have issues when you're outdoors, but the battery life is impeccable and you're going to get compliments and questions all the way and everywhere that you go. So if you guys have any compliments or questions or anything of the sort, please let us know in the comment section below. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.